I have you down at the bottom, but I can totally move you up
Oh,
to.
oh, you push.
Do you hear me?
Hit your button again. So this button, if
Oh,
it's
hello.
green, it should work.
There you
Okay,
go.
cool. Okay, so let's do a roll call. I guess just like go from say your name and that you're here.
Rachel Yondel, member.
Perfect.
Thomas Dewhurst, member.
Bobby Glasser, member.
Tressa Greshak, member.
Sharon Deaver, chair.
David Benak, vice chair.
Steve Romanelli, member.
Okay, and that is all for now. Rob may or may not make it. He let me know.
Okay.
All right, and we're live streaming on Facebook and YouTube. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda, or are there any suggestions that anyone has? We're moving Justin up on the agenda towards ongoing business for the update, the quarterly update for the Community Sustainability Plan. Anything else? Oh, also, Gail wanted to have some final words since we didn't meet in December, so we'll add that into new business. Okay, and with those edits, I would entertain a motion unless anyone has any other edits.
I'll give a motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None? All right, it is approved. And then if you were able to check the meeting minutes from November, that was also in the email. And is there any suggestions for edits for that? Okay, then I would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
Okay, is your mic on? Sorry.
I move that we approve the minutes as written from the November 2023 meeting.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. And do I
I'll
have
second.
a second? Okay,
I'll second.
Steve, thank you. All right, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? None? All right, then we are good there. Okay, moving on to announcements. Does anyone have any individual announcements? Okay. How about news or educational items? Okay. Do we like keeping those on here?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Comments, do we have any public comments at this time? And we'll also take public comment at the end. Okay. Yes, please.
Come talk on this one. Come talk on this mic. You over here. Come here. Yeah, sorry. I don't know where the button is. All right.
Cool.
Okay, once again, I'm Doug McLaughlin. I am the Executive Director of the Kalamazoo River Watershed Council. David, I know, is liaison for us. I am here just to connect a little bit with the committee. I've been in my position with the Watershed Council for about a year and a half. We're grateful for the work that you're doing. We have had really good interactions with the city. I'm here specifically, there are a number of concerns we know, or a number of issues related to the Kalamazoo River that many of us are working toward long-term improvements toward that. And our organization has been active for now just beyond 3 decades in that effort. But I wanted to come here today to say something specifically about the trash that enters the river, really all up and down the river, but certainly from the Kalamazoo area as well. We have been successful in doing coordinating cleanup activities. It's something that we've partnered with the city of Kalamazoo, but also other partners up and down the river to do cleanup activities. We recognize that it is sources of trash are a complicated issue. There are many dimensions to it, but I wanted to specifically come to call attention to that and the need for persistent efforts to try to understand options for minimizing the amount of trash that enters the river. Some of it collects at a railroad trestle downstream from the Patterson Street Bridge. That trestle actually is slated, it's hard to know just when, but slated for removal, which will be advantageous to users of the river environment. What that means is the trash that currently collects there will move further down river. So again, it's a complicated issue. I think we understand that, but I wanted to encourage this committee that it's an issue that does need some sustained attention, and we are willing to be partners in that, whatever that may involve. So that's the extent of my comments. I'm happy to try to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
Just collecting more information, do you have some specific to-do list that you would like to pass on? Like, what are your priorities on, preventing and or cleaning up certain portions of the river, especially in the downtown area?
With respect to cleanup, the partnerships that we have with the city that partnership is very important. So maintaining that partnership and resources available to do cleanup activities and get other groups involved in cleanup activities. From a source point of view, ideally we're preventing trash from entering the river environment. I think at the top of the to-do list is to put some effort into understanding what those sources are. Some of it is the homeless communities. Some of it is, we know wherever there's a roadway that crosses the river, that is also a place where trash can collect. So that it's clearly a multidimensional issue. So trying to understand how to minimize the amount of trash from the houseless community is a part of that. And to the extent that involves addressing the houseless community as the top priority, and I don't necessarily mean the community, but the issue, those efforts need to continue forward. My comments hopefully will just make it clear or be one more voice that that is a source. And there are environmental impacts and impacts to the river environment. So I guess I'll leave a to-do list there.
One more question. Have you guys been keeping track of the kinds of trash that you're finding?
not in a quantitative way. We do photograph, we photo document the amount that we collect, and in that, you know, you can see the kinds of things that are collected. As you can imagine, there's an awful lot of plastic, there's a lot of styrofoam, you know, meal containers, there are blankets, there are jackets, there are tires, there are, you know, all manner of items that enter the river. And sharps, we know that in some of our cleanups, we involve, or, you know, there's an extra attention to using sharps containers when that is encountered, but that's another important item.
Do we want to talk more on this now, or do we want to put this to new business and have a conversation about it? Because I have a few points that we could cover.
Do you have more that you want to say about this?
Well, so I've done a ton of cleanups.
Yeah.
And there are, I would say, 3 really important things that we could do. One, there's been a lot of communities that have used these, they call them waste nets. They basically look like a fishing net that you put at the culverts and storm drains, and they catch everything that flows through that, and that's been very successful. Another thing is plantings, native plantings along the riverways. We had seen down there by the Crosstown Ponds where the Wild Ones had done a bunch of plantings, and it caught all of the trash so it doesn't get into the waterway. And then a third is the city has no trash cans. How are the homeless people supposed to do anything with their garbage if there's no place to put it?
It'd be great if we could house them as well.
Right.
Yes, but
One more comment, please. Hello. I am aware that a recent cleanup was conducted along a stretch of roadway that is owned and managed by MDOT. So, and that was a contractor that they hired to do a large-scale cleanup that involved filling several roll-off boxes worth. So this was a large undertaking. So I applaud the relationship of the Watershed Council with the city. I would like to urge all of us collectively keep the state of Michigan involved also, because some of that is MDOT land.
Yep, thank you. Good.
You bet.
Okay, we can add this to new business as an ongoing thing. It's definitely always an ongoing thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public that's here? Or Justin, do you have a way to check phone lines?
there aren't any calls.
Oh, no calls? Okay. Then a reminder to anyone listening that we will have comments again at the end. Okay, moving on. New applications, as of last night, there weren't any. Any change to that today, Justin?
No.
Thank you. And you mentioned something about outreach for the open positions that we have. Were you able to, I don't know, hear about what they were going to do? Because I heard multiple possibilities of different neighborhood groups that could share about the open positions. Typically, we also have it in the view from the curb and on the website in general. But
Yeah, no, we're going to work on posting all those sites, but nothing's been posted yet.
okay,
Sharon, just a quick question.
yes.
We have 2 openings right now.
So according to this, we have 3, but in my mind, I thought we only were going to have 2. So I am confused. But do you know? It seems like we have 3.
Yeah, that's something I'm working out with the
Maybe we-
clerk right now. So another
Okay.
thing, and well, it'll come into kind of the motion items here soon. We got to talk about Bobby. So
Okay. Also, I guess we're in procedural right now, so, yeah, do you know if there's anyone that needs to renew their term that finished a 3-year term that would automatically be taken off the website if we don't renew their term by chance?
Yes, so we'll just jump in it now and we can vote. So according to the paperwork that I got from the clerk, Bobby served one term, was not reappointed in January 2023, not officially reappointed. So he's been kind of a shadow member now. But he can serve one more term, so we
Yes.
need a motion to accept Bobby, and then I will get him cleared through the clerk, and he'll have an actual term again.
Okay, I move to accept Bobby for his second term, and thank you for all this time that we've gotten for free this year with you.
Yeah, my records are the same. I joined in 2019, so 2021, 22 was my first 3 years. 23, 24, 25 should be the next 3. Thought I was already on board, but thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Gail's here.
Okay, so subcommittee changes as well. I did write open next to the 2 from our members that already termed out, but I did hear that Thomas was interested in being appointed to the tree committee. Great. Awesome. That's great. Okay, great. We'll ask for your update a little later then. And then, was there anyone interested at this time in taking on wildlife and natural resource protection? And that has,
Yeah, I guess if that's open, that would
Okay.
probably be me, huh?
that sounds great to me. Okay. Perfect. Does anyone know any other procedural items? I think that's all I had. Cool. Okay, so,
Sharon?
oh yeah, sorry.
Probably the stuff that I have here, we can vote and move on.
Sure.
So one piece, so the city council is no longer taking, city commission is no longer taking phone calls, but they've allowed the boards to choose whether or not they're going to accept phone calls. So we as a board need to decide what we're going to do as far as accepting phone calls. It's up to you.
Yep,
I think we should.
I absolutely agree.
We have a history of some folks calling in very, very, concerned about particular topics that we discussed. Sorry, I wasn't on, but yes.
Yeah. Yes, I think it's incredibly helpful to have that accessible to the public in that way. Great, let's do that. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we continue to accept call-in comments.
Seconded. And all in favor? Aye. Okay, so that was unanimous as well.
Should we, follow-up question, should we, when we have public comments in person, they have a 3-minute limit? Unless we decide to engage in further conversation, should that apply to phone-in procedures as well?
Thought it automatically may be for the
Okay.
phone.
Okay,
Do you know that?
or thereabouts.
No, I'm finding nothing's automatic. I can set 3 minutes.
Okay, fair.
Or we could let them know, I don't know, but yes, okay, thank you.
Okay, so, yeah.
Yeah. And then next business, so we set the meeting schedule. So we have to set the meeting schedule for 2024. I printed out all the third Wednesdays. The only one, I'll be at a conference in May. So we could hold it and I'll find a sub. We could not hold it. It's up to you all. But those are the dates. And then going back to the call-in piece, I also put in like agenda dates. So with CPED, we like to get the agenda posted prior to the meeting so folks can see what's on the agenda and decide whether or not they want to come in. So we just like to try to get the agendas posted a week before the meeting. So those dates are all there too for you. So
Oh, wow.
if there's any interest. So yeah, it's just, we can accept as is, we can accept without May. Those are pretty much the 2 options there.
I happen to like it. I like the discipline of it, to be honest.
Okay, so, interesting. Sorry, I'm just realizing this is all written down too. Okay,
Okay.
sure.
Can I move then to accept the proposed 2024 meeting date schedule as shown on this list?
Yeah, do I hear a second?
I will second.
All in favor? Aye. And anyone opposed? Okay, unanimous. The motion passes.
All right, and that's all the procedural stuff, so I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. So moving back to ongoing business, and then we'll go to your city updates in new business. Justin? Cool. Okay. Okay. So David, would you like to start us off with the hydrogen hub discussion?
Sure, we've had this on the agenda for a while. Everybody should have seen the materials that have gone around at this point. My goal here with asking us to send this recommendation to the city is that this is not a technology that is currently an environmental win. That does not mean that it will not be in the future, but at the moment it is not. It is greater greenhouse gas footprint than just burning natural gas itself. The most recent information that I've been able to find proposes that the one that's going to be in the Michigan area is going to use natural gas as a fuel and as a feedstock. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't a win. I mean, I'd be happy to have a conversation. I'll just like go on ranting about it.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions from the links that were sent?
I don't have any questions, but I will say I'm inclined to agree with you. My knowledge of environmental energy options, although relatively limited, there are other options that would be more immediately advantageous and have a smaller environmental footprint in our area, and we already deal with pollution issues, and I don't see the benefit in increasing those issues. So yeah, I am inclined to agree that we should recommend we opt out of that if it becomes an issue.
So for clarity, the hydrogen hub, one, it isn't really hydrogen, it's natural gas. Okay, thank you. And who would the end users be? Are there going to be, or are there hydrogen vehicles or hydrogen users on the market that would benefit from having a hub?
The information that's been put out about the end use of it is good purposes. It's good uses for it. They're talking about heavy shipping, which is something that needs to be transitioned off, and there's not many other options at this point. Electric options aren't good for shipping. So, okay. But like you said, there are other better ways at the moment instead of throwing into a futuristic technology that's not ready for prime time. And there's also talk about it being used for concrete, which would be great. I mean, there are a lot of really great applications for hydrogen as a fuel source when it is ready. My concern is that what this does is not only creates the environmental issue of the carbon footprint, but it locks us into this natural gas system. We're going to be building pipelines into the Kalamazoo area to carry natural gas. And then, as I was talking before, hydrogen, because it's such a tiny molecule and has to be moved under such high pressure, no pipelines that exist can carry it. It has to have 100% new pipeline infrastructure created. So we have the habitat issue and the environmental issue of building all those new pipelines out, as well as just the immediate carbon footprint issue.
I think I would be more interested in this if I saw a clear pathway to using the renewables for the more green hydrogen version. But I don't think we're quite ready for that in this area either. So you're right, it would be a lot of investment in a fossil fuel infrastructure with no clear expiration or way out of it, even when those renewable options do become more possible here.
David, I like the letter that you wrote, and I think that would be a good vehicle to go forward. One thought I have is we might want to state our preference for a future green hydrogen hub. I noticed of the 7 locations, the Washington State area, I believe, is the only one that's doing green hydrogen because they have, I guess, more of an abundance of solar and wind power to be able to power the electrolysis, essentially. So maybe we could state that as, we're not against it completely, but just the blue hydrogen doesn't make sense in this area.
Yeah, and with with the one that is proposed to be a green hydrogen at this point, one of the other issues that's been raised for that one is the water use. It takes 9 tons of water to make 1 ton of hydrogen, unless the water needs to be purified, and if they were to pull it from the Kalamazoo River, it would need to be purified. Which means it then takes 18 tons of water to make 1 ton of hydrogen, which, in a water-rich state like Michigan, that's not as much of an issue for us to think about, but it is an issue that we really, need to think about in terms of, like we just had the Kalamazoo River Watershed Council here, what happens if we start pulling that volume of water out of the river? What's that going to do to the ecosystem that exists?
No, I was just going to say, I agree with what you had proposed. I am not against shutting this down completely, but I do agree what you stated in your letter is absolutely true. I think we need to get a better understanding of really what's behind this, and I think there needs to be a lot more public comment, because right now there really isn't any that I've been able to find.
That's one of the things that some of the people, there's a lot of controversy about the Mid-Atlantic hub right now, which is in the Delaware area. And that's a lot of what that controversy is about, is that there hasn't been any public input, and this is plowing forward without consulting the community where it's supposed to be placed, or communities where pipelines and such will be built.
The whole transparency issue is hazy. So could we make a motion to send a letter forward?
Yeah, did you want to read that or time by chance? Okay. Let's see if I can. Not this time.
I've got it pulled up if you'd like to just read that, yeah.
David, I believe Gail had a suggestion at the previous meeting to edit the last sentence.
So I'll read it as written. The Kalamazoo Environmental Concerns Committee strongly supports sustainable development that addresses the climate crisis, promotes environmental justice, and respects the integrity of critical habitat and functional ecosystems. The federal government's current proposal for a series of hydrogen hubs runs counter to each of these goals. In its current form and with the technology available, the production of hydrogen fuel will negatively impact climate change, introduce more pollution into communities, and degrade habitats and ecosystems. The Kalamazoo Environmental Concerns Committee urges the Kalamazoo City Commission and the Planning Commission of the City of Kalamazoo to reject any hydrogen hub proposals under the current model. We also urge that the City of Kalamazoo fully include a robust process of public input and review before considering any future proposals for the production of hydrogen fuel that utilize improved sources, processes, or technology. And if we want to vote on that, I think that your suggestion, I could include that as a friendly amendment, referencing that we are in support of green hydrogen as technology allows. I think that would be a friendly amendment. I could.
Like you say, in its current form, it's just
right. Just make that clear. I'm happy to add that.
So can we motion to have, if you're willing to make a couple of revisions to that and then distribute it to everybody to do, or do we want to just vote on it ahead of time? That's what we do in some other committees, is we have it reviewed, revised, sent out to the members. I don't want to wait a whole nother month. We don't have to wait a whole nother month for it, but we can send it out for any last edits and then go from there.
I would second a motion to approve this under the assumption that those edits go in line with what we have discussed here. Discussion?
No, I'm ready to vote on this. My only concern is it'll fall into a black hole if we don't commit to a date when we're
Okay.
going to send our responses back.
Very good, very good.
So I can make the edits by Friday.
Okay.
And send it to Sharon for distribution.
Okay, Friday, end of day, that's end of business, I guess, or, okay, sounds good. Then all in favor?
Should we set the comment period? Like
A week?
a week, no more than a week?
No more than a week.
More than a week, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, and then anyone opposed? All right, that was unanimous. Great, okay, then moving back to the city agenda items for city updates with Justin.
Yeah, so one update is here. We have an intern from Western Michigan University, Alexa Hempel. You can come up and talk at the podium. I think I got it figured out. If you want to introduce, yeah, you can talk. So Alexa's urban planning major at Western with environmental studies. I'll be working with me through April. So Alexa, introduce yourself and take any questions from them.
Nice.
As Justin said, yeah, I'm a double major in environmental and sustainability studies and geography with a concentration in urban planning. I have a minor in business as well. So this is my senior year at Western, but I'll be graduating next fall. So I have a little more time. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say. So any questions?
Great.
Are you going to grad school?
I don't know yet.
What's your, you mentioned urban planning, but what's your passion within this particular scope?
Yeah, definitely sustainability planning, which makes me excited to be working with Justin and kind of get a taste of what that's like.
Okay.
Great. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's nice to meet you.
Thank you.
All right, and then in addition to Alexa, Kalamazoo was awarded the inaugural My Healthy Climate Corps position. So I'm currently going through applications now, looking to hire My Healthy Climate Corps fellow for March and April, or March through November. My Healthy Climate Corps is this new initiative. It's similar to AmeriCorps, but they're focused on environmental problems within communities and nonprofits. So we bring in one of those fellows to Kalamazoo. The application's been on the city's website, and it's open through the 21st. So if anyone listening or you know anyone, they're welcome to apply to that. And then I do have the final numbers of the community greenhouse gas emissions reports, and I'll throw those up here real quick. For the community, again, the community is everything within the city boundary. It's 2,053,690 metric tons of CO2e. And we'll break those numbers down just a little bit quicker here. You've already seen most of this. All right, so here's the big one. That big blue piece of the pie is energy use. So everything that we use to heat our homes and provide electricity, and not just homes, it's the built environment, essentially. All that comes from consumers' energy. The yellow sliver there is Western Michigan's power plant. So they're putting out 65,241 metric tons. Solid waste, that's, you know, all the trash that we throw away, the biosolids, the compost pile. And then transportation's there sitting at 12%. So it looks different than what you see nationally just because of the way our power is generated and the type of city we are. And even, you know, statewide, Ann Arbor's numbers are totally different. But that's where Kalamazoo sits, the community. If you got any questions, you can start firing away. Or you can meet me at Green Drinks. I broke it down here by zip code and type of energy, so you can see that industrial energy is very high in 07 and 01 zip codes, essentially nothing in 49008. The industrial gas here It looks like it's double counted, but it was just the way the kind of the graph popped out. That's just Western's power plant. So you have questions about that? Happy to. Broke it down by zip code a little bit. So remember, we only used the 3 zip codes because those are the best zip codes that we had. 49001, 49007, 49008. Adjusted for population, 49007 looks like it comes out a little bit ahead. That didn't seem right because it's not, you don't measure energy use by person, it's by households. You know, what's the whole household using? You do that, and then 08 comes out ahead. So this will just help us focus, you know, efficiency programs. That's what the AmeriCorps or My Healthy Climate Fellow is going to focus on, is how do we make the built environment and existing structures more efficient? And I mean, just get a handle on what's even out there, you know, so kind of helped us go there. Western's power plant data, community, solid waste. Go ahead, I feel like a question's coming.
Would you be able to email this to us as well?
Yeah, I can send out this slide.
Great.
Here, you know, everyone wants to compare everyone else, and this just shows you the different sectors and how every city kind of compares. So here's Kalamazoo, pretty heavy energy use. You look at Seattle and you think, gosh, why is Seattle so low? Well, it's because 50% or so of their power comes from hydroelectric. So it's fun when it works out like that. Then Ann Arbor is just, you know, they have a lower energy use, but it's not just individuals. You know, you kind of see the industrial energy use is just really high in Kalamazoo. We have a lot of industry. And I would suspect residential would climb maybe near where commercial is, just because we excluded those 3 zip codes. Those are pretty dense areas. So we'll tinker with that a little bit. And then production, yeah, that's over there. Then citywide, again, most of our energy comes from almost, you know, essentially half is providing water and cleaning water for people. And not just people in Kalamazoo, it's essentially, you know, we have essentially county-wide and even stretching out in other counties. So Kalamazoo carries the carbon burden for kind of the surrounding community. Then solid waste, you know, so water and wastewater here is just the energy it takes to provide water and clean water. And solid waste, you have what's left over after you clean it. So that's all the biosolids included in there, as well as the compost facility, the tree removal, debris, things like that. A vehicle fleet, that's, you know, just the cars that the city operates here. Traffic lights and traffic signals, you know, 5%, and then buildings and facilities at 12%. So it's, you know, we can, yeah, it just helps us kind of know where to focus. Water and wastewater, we can't reduce, you know, the amount used there. We can find ways to use it better, energy-wise. Scopes, probably too boring for this. Electricity, natural gas. Again, you know, you kind of see, so, you know, we talk about solar panels. Well, that's going to knock out the electricity. We got to figure out ways to kind of decarbonize and get off natural gas, and better ways to use that. Streetlights, you know, you want to be able to see where you're going, so we got to figure out to do that. And that's tricky because that's a lot of consumers' negotiation there. It's not just us. And again, here, 97% of all our waste as a city is from biosolids to landfills. So working on ways to kind of fix that. Diesel use, you know, we are switching to biodiesel for this year. So these are numbers are all 2022. 2023, it was biodiesel. So when the report comes out in this December, these numbers should drop a little bit. Water supply, yes, a lot of it's water reclamation. Water reclamation's wastewater. Kalamazoo, you know, it sits here. It's pretty similar. South Bend, I got to really dive into their numbers a little bit. I don't know if I have it on this one. Yeah, I missed that. But yeah, so got to figure out why South Bend's so low. Probably because they don't have an industrial base like Kalamazoo does. Neither does Ann Arbor. So, and then, you know, we're talking about community solar, and then I'm sure that'll come up for this board. So right now, the community solar legislation that hasn't been approved yet, if approved, it would allow for 5 megawatts of power to be generated through these small solar installations that could hook up to the distribution grid. But you look at the energy we use here in the city just for those 3 zip codes, we're at 1.8 million megawatts. So it's gonna, you got to think about, yeah, energy use, consumption, and solar. But, you know, don't think that the solar panels in your backyard are going to solve this issue right now. But I think that's it. Quick, and then it'll be more in depth as I kind of go out in the community. But I want to give you all a heads up. You've pretty much already seen this before.
Oh, okay.
Justin, quick
Yeah.
question for you. One of the pieces of the pie is solid waste. That doesn't factor in residential garbage collection, does it?
It does in the community section. So remember, there's two numbers. The 2 million, that includes an estimate of residential solid waste. So what I did, Southwest Michigan Business Forum did a waste audit in West Michigan, so they know percentages of what people throw away. I applied the average amount of trash thrown away by an American to the population and factored in with what types of things people are throwing away in West Michigan. I got that number. So yeah, so the community includes what you throw away. Eventually, I'd like to do a waste audit where we actually know what the Kalamazoo community is throwing away. It's down the line. But yeah, so that includes what you throw in the trash. It's a long way of saying yes.
Is this the presentation you're going to be doing at Green Drinks then?
Yes, although I'm missing my favorite slide, so I have to make sure my favorite slide's in there. But,
What's that one?
That just broke down the differences. So, you know, I showed you those numbers of cities and where cities stand. You know, so 2.04 million for Ann Arbor, 2.05 for Kalamazoo. But like it breaks down, it looks at those numbers a little bit more and shows where we're differing, you know. So it tells a better story than just that, you know, 100,000 that you see in the number. So
Cool.
Hey, Justin, I'm aware of some community or municipalities that are now engaging in, like we have single stream recycling. So hopefully that amount of trash, what would otherwise be trash, is going to reuse and recycling, and there are end users for those products. Other communities are now starting to do almost single stream for biodegradable, compostable materials. And I guess in your data, would that, if that was able to be separated out from what we put on our Herbie Kirby's, you know, for trash pickup, would that change our numbers? Now, of course, we have to do something with that material also, and there are some innovative communities, even in Michigan, that are doing some things. How might that affect our numbers, and is that something the city of Kalamazoo is considering?
considering might be strong, interested in might be more accurate. Definitely looking at ways. But you're right, yeah, anytime you can divert any type of organic material from going to landfill, you're going to see some greenhouse gas reduction, because organics going to landfills, an anaerobic environment, produce methane, which is a more potent greenhouse gas. So if we can compost them in an aerobic environment, where they just turn into CO2, you know, it's not as harmful, and we can then, you know, put that back in the soil. So yes, we'd like to do it. Yes, we're thinking about how we can do it, but no, I can't tell you that we're going to do it immediately.
Okay. Well, I guess another consideration is the state of Michigan's new Part 115 rules require communities by county, I know it's by county, to look and propose and document ways that they intend to reduce the amount that goes to landfills. That would be maybe something for the city of Kalamazoo to partner with our county counterparts to implement something.
It's like you've been sitting in on my meetings, Bobby. Yeah, I've been talking with Taylor about that.
Okay.
Bent over in facilities.
Very
Yeah,
good. Thank you, sir.
definitely thinking about it.
I recently emailed you a flyer. Is it possible to post that by chance? Recently, as in within the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I will post it.
Okay. I was just thought it would be interesting with this discussion. I didn't realize it was going to be so visual, but it shows the breakdown of the waste, which is basically in this same point. And I let me get some numbers for you, although the visual would be awesome, but I can pass that along as well. We, in December, recycled 2,245 pounds of electronics at the electronic recycling drop-off. And if you look at yearly comparison of cubic yards for leaf collection, we were up like 5,000 from last year in 2023 versus 2022. So yeah, lots of numbers that look really cool on this. This is, oh, it's a whole slide. Okay. I have it as like one big flyer here. So we've been reading off these numbers, but this is like a really pretty way of seeing it put. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I'll read some things too, just because we have 2,031.92 total tons of recycled materials in 2023. That's that number there. It was slightly down in December from November, which is interesting. But you also see he wrote in the reported missed pickups, and that was down for December as well. Cool. Thank you so much.
Would you email this to us as well?
Yeah.
So we have it. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Anything else for you, Justin?
Just a couple events. So tonight is the Downtown Placemaking Open House at the KPL Public Library Van Dusen Room. It's going on, starts in 14 minutes, but it'll be going on through the 7th. And then Green Drinks at Shakespeare's on the 23rd of January. Well, I'll be talking more in depth about this and kind of do it in more an informal setting.
And that's roughly 5 to 6:30?
Generally, yeah, start at 5.
Can you explain what the downtown placemaking is?
No,
No? Okay.
no, there's an email. I'm just passing that along from Christina
Oh, okay.
Anderson. It's about what you want to see in the downtown, I guess.
Okay.
That's
Thank you.
the best way I can say it.
Great. Okay. Well, we just went through the waste updates too. So new business, we have Gail wanted to say some final words. Although you're totally welcome to come back anytime.
Thank you. Is this working? Yep. And I can also explain the placemaking thing because I was there last night and I'll be there in 14 minutes. So anyway, I'll first say thanks for making some time. I thought I was just going to give some comments at the public citizen comment period. But since we didn't meet in December, I just wanted a chance to say thank you, for giving me the opportunity to work with everybody over the last 6 years. It's really been an honor. It's been, it's been fun. I think we've been a productive group. And I'm always continually impressed by the depth and the breadth of the knowledge that each of you bring. You bring something, you bring your interest, like the hydrogen thing, and we get to explore that. And, everybody's got their talents and their field of expertise, and bring it to the attention of not just the city commission, but also to the community. And so I think this is a pretty awesome committee to be on. And ultimately, everything that we do, that now you will do, to safeguard the environment also has a positive impact on people, even if it's kind of difficult sometimes to connect the dots. But because of I think all of our inherent compassion for people, I know it may result in wanting sometimes to make the best decision and the best choice, or what we think of as the best choice and recommendation for people. And what I always try to remember is that there are many departments and groups and agencies and organizations whose mission is human welfare. And I need to trust that those people, my colleagues, in those fields doing their jobs have way more resources and knowledge and skill for human welfare than I do. And so I guess my own personal thing is stay in your own lane kind of thing. And so what I think is important to remember, and I just sort of my parting thoughts, and I implore you to also remember, is that this committee is the voice, probably about the sole voice for the environment itself and all the inhabitants of the environment, not just humans, but mammals and fish and trees and insects and birds, of course, the most important ones. So if we safeguard the environment itself and do our best to advocate for clean air and clean water, and to advocate for the best management of our natural resources and green spaces, and to promote native plants and address hazards like, light pollution, we will not only be advancing the welfare of the environment and the non-human residents of the environment, but ultimately for humans. And so, you know, I just want to ask, think green, keep the environment, keep the birds and all the other critters in mind. And I know that our colleagues doing the human welfare will do their jobs as well. So thanks for letting me speak, and it's been great. So I'll be keeping track of what's going on.
Thank you.
And if you want to know about the placemaking workshop, there are 5 areas in downtown Kalamazoo, alleyways. And actually, I'm going to pop over there, but I would encourage you to come and join me. One of the areas that is under consideration for changes, you know, we'll call it beautification, placemaking updates, is Farmers Alley and Exchange Place Alley. And of course, the Peregrines live at the intersection of those 2 alleys. And so keeping that area safe for the birds is, you know, is my goal. We can paint the pavement and, you know, do all kinds of stuff, but, you know, I'm encouraging them to not put anything overhead that would cause hazards for the birds. So other areas are the North Mall, North Burdick Mall from like north of Michigan, South Burdick Mall from Lovell south, what they're calling Rose Street Alley, and there's probably one other place that I'm missing. Anyway, last night was, there had been several over the summer and the fall, special interest groups, you know, that had been asked to come and look at these places, make suggestions, add input. And then last night was a chance to look at a number of different possible options for these places. And then last night, people were able to make comments, write their comments, and add their input on sticky notes, put them on all these different boards. Tonight is supposed to be, they've been working on all of the comments during the day today, so tonight will be kind of a sharing of those comments and maybe having taken a lot of those under consideration and coming up with, well, here's kind of where we're going with this. So there's still opportunity for input and design, but you know, if you've got the energy and the time after this, pop over to the library and help me keep those alleys safe for the birds.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay. And then I wrote next on the agenda as suggestions. So if anyone had any ideas of things they wanted to add to future agendas.
I think it would be a good idea for us to take up what Doug McLaughlin mentioned and come up with something which is really a serious issue.
Great. I have that one written. Okay. Feel free to email me if you have other ideas at a later time as well. Otherwise, we can move on to just a couple minutes early, the subcommittee reports review, anything that you have since November's meeting to now. So NFP Review Board. Oh, yep.
I was going to ask if we could go out of order while Gail is still here, so we could get her input on the December meeting of the tree committee.
Okay.
I was the meeting trying to figure out who all Hey, Gail, if we could impose on you to, I wanted to give a quick update from the tree committee. We didn't meet in January, but we certainly did meet in December. And I know you know, it's probably caught you by surprise, but I just thought it was interesting to see the dynamics and the discussion. But there are certain details that I just couldn't capture that you might want to pass along.
Oh, that was a long time ago, Thomas.
I mean, there was discussion about tree removal for the Inkster bridge project. There
Right.
was some over in the West Douglas neighborhood about
Right.
tree removal. But there was also some discussion that you had mentioned about the manual. Was it done? Was it printed?
right.
And that the answer was not yet, I believe.
Right, okay, so the three things that Thomas brought up. So as you all know, we've been working on an update for the tree ordinance. And that got broken down to this year. It was done with the help of Davies Consultant Group, who are the ones who did that tree survey a couple of years ago, surveyed all the trees, city trees in the curb lawns. So apparently the tree manual is done. The ordinance, is a more of a legal document, so that is harder to change. That is still, as of the meeting in December, that was still in the attorney's office waiting review. The manual, which is more of a working document that can be reviewed and updated every year, every other year, apparently is done. I do not have a copy. I have not been sent a copy, so Thomas is going to have to get me a copy.
And I couldn't find any link on the tree committee website.
Yeah, I don't.
Portion to say that I couldn't even find minutes from the December meeting, so I don't know if that's typical as well.
Yeah, I don't think that stuff is kept up to date, like on that website. So anyway, apparently the manual is done, so I'm going to try to get one since I had a lot of skin in the game putting that together. And so the topics that were discussed were the area around the Inkster Bridge where it goes over Bronson Boulevard. They're getting ready to, redo that. And I don't know if any of you are in that area. It's a pretty steep slope. The bridge abutments need to be taken out, for the new bridge design. And there is a water main, apparently, that runs through that little triangle space on that steep slope. And so, now that there's a recognition of this is where this water main is, and it is pretty steep. So a discussion of what trees can we try to save, what's going to happen. And I think it's going to be one of those we're going to do the best that we can when we get in there and see what needs to be done. We did talk about replanting that area when it's completed and putting in lower level native species, so like multi-stem redbuds. And, so they're going to do the best that they can do, but it's really a challenging little spot, so we'll see. And the other area Thomas actually had a lot more insight to that than I did, because it's over in his neck of the woods, apparently. And so, maybe I'll let you fill in those details as best you can.
Thank you. I live in the West Douglas neighborhood, and I know we've been in the news occasionally for the wrong kind of dumping, and there's a section on Prairie, which is a brick hill that comes up the hill from North Street and joins Blakesley. And I believe it was in October there was a body found there. Well, the neighborhood's been asking the city to deal with trash issues there, illegal dumping for years and years, and it just hasn't worked out very well. But the Department of Public Services and the Department of Public Safety met and decided that they wanted to put full-time monitoring cameras on that section of road, and that they kind of wanted to clear cut this whole swath of trees under the idea that, we need to have a clear line of sight. And so the discussion was around, the road is curved, you can't have a clear line of sight. But essentially the compromise was that they were going to take out the small trees, put the cameras in, and then come back. And that was a lot because of my pushback saying, clear cutting this is not going to go down well in the neighborhood. And we had a lot of angst over 3 trees on the Inkster project, but you're going to cut down 100 trees or 75 trees here without, so that was a longer discussion, at least for me, and more personal because it was 250 yards from where I live. But essentially, so there was that part, and then the other part I learned is that in my neighborhood, they planted about 100 to 125 trees in December, mostly native species, mostly undergrowth type of trees. A lot of them planted even under power lines and whatnot. So that's going forward, and I'm looking forward to learning more about a couple of things. How many trees can we plant a year? And then also the maintenance of the trees that are planted. The trees that got planted in my neighborhood, they have a contract with somebody to come do watering and mulching as needed for the first 2 years. So I'll be real interested to monitor that and kind of just see what we can do to improve the survival rate. But yeah, so that's what I've got from the tree committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we didn't meet in January.
Okay. All right, we'll go back to the top. NFP Review Board.
Okay, NFP did not meet in December. However, because there was no new topics to discuss or no plans to review. However, worth noting is that the City of Kalamazoo did invite us to attend a training session that included members of the Planning Commission, members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and NFP. All three of these groups have to do with zoning ordinance, Imagine Kalamazoo 2025 master plan, which is always being revised, and different sections of it are taken and looked at. We learned things that there are zoning codes still on the books that essentially have no meaning, things like that that need to be looked at periodically and always revising. It was very informative and productive for all of us, including the exchange that we all got to see each other, because we all play a part in these zoning related issues. So in lieu of our December meeting, that's what happened as far as NFP folks are concerned. So that's that. You want me to go ahead to air and water?
Sure.
Okay. I do try to track both the EPA and any local sources I can for air monitoring. I reported at our last meeting, which was back in November, that I had noted a spike, and it was interestingly like the previous day or the day of our meeting. Haven't seen any spikes in concentrations of sulfur compounds or PM10, PM2 particulates. Doesn't mean there's not problems out there, but I haven't seen anything, at least in that publicly available information. And I don't have any news regarding water-related events that I know of.
Okay, great. And then, yeah, we'll be ready next month for the wildlife and natural.
Needs to be protected, or wildlife?
Wildlife we'll do next month, since you just decided you'd take that on. And then Planning Commission.
Yep, so for December, the biggest update was that the rezoning for Stadium Drive was postponed until March at least.
Mm-hmm.
So it hasn't been officially placed on the agenda as far as I'm aware, but that is the expected date. For this month's meeting, there were a few proposals, two for vacations of alleys, like in that those plots that are going to be used for the arena. And most of it one was West Street, which I think like shifted and became Westnedge, so just incorporating that into the property. It says that neither affect the Acadia Creek. I don't really understand like the full like property that they have and how like it doesn't, but they say that it will not affect anything with the creek and with these like no utility lines or water lines, sewage, none of that needed to be moved, so it was just kind of a legality. And then at 2007 Saxonia Lane, there's a plot that is between Kazoo Schools and then the Kleinstuck Preserve. That's kind of the school has purchased. It's a residential plot. They're requesting it to be special use, so they will use it, but they're not planning any construction or really to change much on that property. They're an outdoor school, so just kind of using it as extra classroom space. The community is super supportive, and they are very sustainability minded, so I don't really foresee that being an issue. And then the final one was for 2501 Millcork Street, which is out in like the Millwood neighborhood, kind of in the industrial area, but just wanting to set up a like neighborhood service association with like a daycare, soccer field type situation. It is zoned for M2 currently. All of these were approved, but I didn't really see any issues with any of them.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Asylum Lake Policy Management Council, we did not meet in January, and there was nothing crazy to report for December, unless you have something that you think, Lori? Mm-hmm.
Having been out of town over Christmas, I lost track of some of this. But my recollection was that there was a request to the ECC to make a statement about the potential zoning of the north.
I think that was previously, actually, so that's...
So, I'm sorry, I couldn't get here sooner.
No worries, no worries.
So it's in process?
Yeah.
Just so, okay.
Yeah, I think just that was another thing, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, so pretty much the same as the last time, because things keep moving, getting pushed out per Planning Commission update there. And next, Parks and Rec, Rob was not able to make it. And then Kalamazoo River and Watershed Council?
No updates.
Okay. And then wellhead protection, do we want to decide when, I did write tentative February, do we want to request that Jean come do her update next month? Yes, it's quarterly, and I believe it, I mean, it's been at least, I think it would be about time, yeah. So, okay, I'll request that. And then odor task force, anything?
I have not heard about any meetings.
Okay. And we already did the community sustainability update. So if we could check the phone lines again, and if there's anyone in the audience that wanted to make a comment as well. No phone calls? Okay. Anyone, any last comments? Okay. Then hearing none, is there anything, any final statements anyone has here?
One fun fact, like I said, I'm taking a Penn State Extension tree tenders course. This is the first session, and we talked about benefits of trees. And one example they used was 140-year-old mature trees intercepts 500,000 gallons of water a year and is responsible for what they call phytoremediation, which is the degradation of chemicals, which is the trapping of sediments, which is locking it up in the soil. And I think of that in context to where, you know, we're trying to protect Asylum Lake, and why would we want to cut down all those mature trees, which are helping to filter the water quality and, you know, runoff off of Stadium Drive. Thank you.
Thank you. Very cool. Okay. Well, we are adjourned. Thanks.
Thank you.